Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody needs an agenda, I believe they are right outside the door out back. Before we get started, I will ask Steve to please stand and lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have our annual report dedication. I'm going to hand it over to Mike Roy.
Fred could not make it tonight.
Oh, no.
Our report's going to be dedicated
Yes.
to Fred Stowert, so plan for next Tuesday.
All right, wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
And now my mic is on. There.
Yes. Next, we have a disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there anybody on the council that feels they have a conflict of interest in any of the votes they'll take tonight? No. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Unfinished business, ordinance 178, 2018.
An ordinance providing for amendment to streets and sidewalks, being enacted by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows, that the Streets and Sidewalks Ordinance, Article 3, snow removal, be amended as shown on the attached.
To adopt. Second.
Is there any discussion? Questions?
Can you tell us what that's actually about?
Yeah,
Please.
The summary is these revisions are being made to correct and update some minor inconsistencies and out-of-date information. Also, a realignment of sections 3-3 to 3-6 and the elimination of section 3-7 will provide a more condensed summary of rules and regulations.
Can I get a roll call, Patty?
Councillor Sol,
Yes.
Councillor Mayu,
Yes.
Councillor O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councillor Tate,
Yes.
Councillor DuPont.
Yes.
Vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next, under unfinished business, ordinance 179, 2018.
An ordinance providing for amendment to administrative ordinance. Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that Section 2-1 of Article 2 of the administrative ordinance be amended as shown on the attached. Such amendment will provide the authority to cancel City Council meetings under certain conditions.
Motion to adopt. Second.
And for the public, this is, give an example, we had a time recently where there was no reason to have a meeting, and so we wanted to postpone one, but there was no actual written rule that gave us the ability to do that. This just clarifies that. So if there is actually no city business to take care of, the council can determine on their own whether to have that meeting or not. Any other questions or comments? Could I get a roll call, please?
Councillor Sol,
Yes.
Councillor Mayu,
Yes.
Councillor O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councillor Tate,
Yes.
Councillor DuPont.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next, ordinance 180, 2018.
Move to read by title only. Second.
All in favor?
An ordinance providing for amendment to zoning.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt. Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call, please?
Councillor Sol,
Yes.
Councillor Mayu,
Yes.
Councillor O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councillor Tate,
Yes.
Councillor DuPont.
Yes.
The vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on, ordinance 181, 2018.
Motion to read by title only. Second.
All in favor?
An ordinance providing for amendment to zoning.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Any discussion? Questions? Can I get a roll call?
Councillor Sol,
Yes.
Councillor Mayu,
Yes.
Councillor O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councillor Tate,
Yes.
Councillor DuPont.
Yes.
Vote is 5 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to new business, resolution 184, 2018.
A resolution providing for renewal of a special amusement permit to Jody Langlois doing business as Chez Paris. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Waterville, acting as municipal officers as follows, that a special amusement permit be issued to Jody Langlois, doing business as Chez Paris, 45 Water Street.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Jay Pereira?
Anybody from the Shea?
Back.
All right. All in favor? Thank you. Next, Resolution 185, 2018.
A resolution providing for referral to the planning board. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that in accordance with Article 7, Section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance, a proposal to amend the zoning map is hereby referred to the planning board for public hearing and recommendation.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Any discussion? Looks like this is the proposed movement of the Children's Museum to the existing church. Is that correct? And we're just moving this on to the planning board for them to have that discussion.
That's right.
Right.
There is someone here in the event there are any questions from the church.
Okay.
But, right, it's just a referral. It'll come back to us after the planning board reviews it.
Any questions or comments?
It's a taxable entity?
Well, right now it's a church.
Right, so will it move to taxable?
That'd be a nonprofit.
No.
Any other questions?
So there's no net
Taxable
loss or
person.
gain?
I believe it would be, you're right, it would be
It's
a...
a lateral move.
Correct,
Right. Thank you.
I think.
I think.
I haven't looked at the tax filings of the Children's Museum, but I assume they're a nonprofit.
The assessor will be the final determinant of that. but
So we can't be any worse off?
No.
It's already, they're already not paying it, paying taxes?
It's tax exempt now.
Right, thank you.
Rick?
And that was going into the American Legion Hall. Am I correct in saying that?
It was.
It was, and now they're moving it out of there into the church? Is that their thought process?
That is the thought process, yeah.
They never got into the American Legion. They were
Yeah, I was
supposed
gonna say, nothing's been done over there,
to.
so
No. They were hoping, but it didn't work
have
out.
they indicated anything that they want to do with the American Legion building?
We haven't heard
No, that's
anything,
not part of this discussion, but,
right,
okay,
but we haven't heard anything permanent.
okay.
And I believe that's owned by Bill Mitchell, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Next, Resolution 186, 2018.
A resolution providing for canvassing of votes and determination of the result of the regular and special municipal election held on November 6, 2018. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows, that the City Council acting as the canvassing board for the canvassing of the votes and the determination of the result of the regular and special municipal election held on Tuesday, November 6, 2018, received and examined the returns as follows. City Council Ward 1, Morris, Michael James, with 347. Weeks, Catherine M., 345. City Council Ward 3, Patterson, Robert Neal, 240. Smith, Margaret K., 628. City Council Ward 5, Chamberlain, Eric David, 429. Coelho, J.S., 500. City Council Ward 7, Dickey, Zachary Aaron, 91. Dunn, Heath A., 208. Thomas, Eric, 316. Tompkins, Anthony George, 32. Board of Education, Ward 1, Sylvester, Sarah, 577. Board of Education, Ward 7, Rancourt, Thomas, Karen A., 290. Trinwood, Pamela A., 356. Question 1, yes, 3,052. No, 2,906.
Could I get a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt. Second?
I'd like to make a motion to amend some numbers at the end, please.
Okay.
On question 1, the yes vote would change to 2,911, the no vote to 2,918, the blanks would be 64, and this does not include the 164 challenged ballots and the 5 disputed.
Okay. Could I get a second on the amendment?
Second.
Could I get a motion to move as amended?
Let's vote on the amendment first.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? And could I get a motion to move as amended? Move as amended.
Move as amended, I mean. Second?
Is there a discussion? And all in favor? Opposed? Next is Order 187, 2018.
An order providing for acceptance of bid for sale of property, 59 High Street. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the bid price submitted by blank in the amount of blank be accepted for the purchase of the property at 59 High Street.
What's blank?
We get it, move to adopt. Can I get a motion? Hang, I think we need to move it first.
Yeah.
Before we can discuss it. Can I get a,
Motion to adopt.
Second. So the,
Could I make a motion to amend this?
yes, sir?
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. The new total will be $15,211. And may I say the name or not needed?
the name we should put in to the Blue Door LLC. So there are two blanks on the copy you got with your agenda. Because at that time, we had not finally received the bids when it was sent out to you.
So to finalize that, it would say that the bid price submitted by Blue Door LLC in the amount of $15,211 be accepted for the purchase of 59 High Street.
Move as adopted.
Second.
Second.
Oh, all in favor of the amendment? Now,
No.
could I get a motion to move as amended? Second. Is there any discussion on this?
Remember, the first time we put this out to bid, we only got one bid, and that was in the amount of $4,700, $4,800. So going back out to bid a second time certainly has helped, because we've gone from $4,800 to $15,200. We did get two bids the second time, and the other amount, as you see in the summary, $8,250. So both second bids were more than the original, than the first bid. Total amount of taxes due, $5,800, is correct, but there are other charges. So in total, those other charges that are due from this property is about $7,500, $7,525. So we need to deduct that from the $15,200 in terms of recovering what was due.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is community notes. Community notes is a time where if anybody has something they would like to say or tell us about that is not on the agenda for this evening, now would be the time to do so. We would just ask that you come to the podium and state your name, tell us where you live and what you have to say. I just want to say congratulations to those candidates who we just ratified tonight. I believe next week we will have several new counselors sitting up here with us. And since John O'Donnell's here, I'd like to just thank him for his time since he's come back after a long tenure prior to this.
I may be back.
We hope not. I'm just kidding. He doesn't mind. Anybody for community notes? I'll get you next, Counselor.
Thank you. Dan Libby, Ward 4. Let me start by saying tonight, vindication! The plastic bag ordinance was a bad deal for all of us, and the good people of Waterville have spoken. I want to personally thank Mayor Isgro and Julian Payne for their pursuit of integrity, and Councilor Mayhew for his lone vote to oppose putting the bag ordinance on the ballot. The people of Waterville have rejected people control and have said yes to keeping their civil liberties intact. They have said yes to common sense and no to outside influences controlling their destinies. My personal thanks to the citizens of Waterville. Thank you. Now, let me tell you who I don't want to thank. I don't want to thank Councilor Chair Soul, the rest of the council, Todd Martin, Linda Woods, and the Sustained Mid-Maine Coalition, local press Amy Calder, Rachel Ohm, and Colby College. They all worked to conspire and to work against the interests of the people of Waterville. They organized and manipulated a situation to try to gain influence at multiple levels. Our council representatives let their egos and personal agendas get in the way of the citizens of what Waterville wanted. the SMMC conspired with Chair Soul to push the vote through by trying to take advantage of Colby College, its radicalized left-wing environmental extremist teachers, and what has proven to be easily influenced and manipulated students. Had their efforts been successful, it would have changed the spectrum for how things were done in Waterville. It would have set the precedent for how to take over a town. I especially don't want to thank the aforementioned individuals for wasting all of our time and energy, for being sneaks and liars. What they did was deplorable. Shame on them all. Shame on our local press for the lack of balanced reporting on this issue and clear bias they put before us. And shame to Dr. Green for coming before us and telling us all the wonderful things that Colby is doing for this town, while at the same time allowing his staff to organize against us. What an incredibly unhinged bunch Waterville was put up against. When I started coming here in February, Todd Martin, a representative of the SMMC, stood before us and told us education does not work when it comes to the environment. I respectfully disagree. The results of the ordinance being voted down shows that education absolutely works when it is truthful.
Great.
I made it my mission to come
I'm
to
going to
these
have to
meetings.
ask you to wrap it up, Dan.
Absolutely, and I will tell the truth to the people of Waterville, what Todd and Linda and the SMMC were really trying to do. With incredible support from the mayor, concerned citizens like Julian Payne and Councilor May, who actually listened to his
Dan,
constituents, education prevailed.
Please wrap it up.
Yep, census, common sense won. Congratulations, Waterville. Thank you, and I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Anybody else for community notes?
Yep, Julian Payne, Ward 5. I'd just like to welcome Jay to Ward 5, and I think that he will listen and represent the constituents well, and I look forward to what he has to bring to the council. I'm very pleased that Sarah Sylvester was re-elected as chair. From what I've seen at meetings, she's a wonderful chair and works well with everybody on the board, me, for superintendent, and the community. So I'm happy that she's back in. And I would also, a little bit of advice, take it or leave it to all new councillors or even present councillors. I think one of the most important things you can do is try and hit or attend some of the school board meetings, because at the end of the year, we'll come with a budget, a bunch of numbers, but unless you understand the reasoning behind them and the ongoing debates and things that happened, it really is a great time to learn as a councillor, and also as a school board member. I come to these meetings to understand what goes on in the city under my perspective. So I think it's a very important thing to do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Cindy Jacobs, and I'm representing the Waterville Public Library, and I just wanted to share that we have started some new programming with some added support. It is from Colby students, but we had our first successful computer programming for 9 to 14-year-olds. We had 12 young people, we had parents, and it was an amazing program. It's going on for 3 weeks. We've already had requests to repeat it again. We're doing writing workshops. We're doing all kinds of things for young people and adults, all free to the community at the Waterville Public Library.
Thank you, Cindy.
Anybody else for community notes? Yes, Counselor.
I wanted to bring up something here with the council and inform them about some things that I inquired with Mark Turner, Director of Public Works. I've received emails and phone calls from constituents. Consulting with Steve, he's had a few himself. Just reciting on an email from Mark to me, so excuse me while I read, but I asked him, can you tell me what the status is on the recycling truck? Is recycling really happening, as many constituents are observing same truck and trash pickup at the same time? It seems evident from correspondence I am getting that this is an ongoing situation. Are there any measures being taken or other resources to solve the issue? And Mark said, good morning. We have been experiencing mechanical problems with the new dual chamber packer, being almost too numerous to mention. Below is a summary of the major items that have been relayed to the manufacturer, Loadmaster in Michigan. Just some M&R maintenance issues, I can tell you. Hopper feed blades in both the 10 and 15 yard sections are having trouble pushing materials from the hopper up onto the compacted storage compartments. Blades are stalling and need to be reset. Main ejection blades appear to be out of sync due to hydraulic pressure imbalance, faulty valve controls, or other reasons yet to be determined. The ejection blade may act to inhibit or restrict materials from being pushed forward from the hoppers into the compacted storage compartments. Locking cylinder pins and bushings on both 10 and 15-yard compartments have failed. These lock the bodies after dumping and are supposed to be fully secure while in normal operation. Our attendants are constantly bounced up and down due to missing bushings and worn cylinder sleeve hooks. The sealing gaskets along the entire hopper frame are not engaging, and liquid waste is often being expelled all over the body, the roadways, and the attendants. 2 technicians from the manufacturer were here on November 5th. They installed new cylinder pin mechanisms and readjusted the hydraulics. The truck went out the next day and continued having problems with items 1 and 2. So after more back and forth communications with Loadmaster, they concluded the problem was electronic and asked Freightliner, the truck manufacturer, to run some tests. The truck went up to Bangor last week, and he discovered that it was a computer issue that is causing reduced compaction. They have ordered a whole new instrumentation control box, which could take several weeks to get. We are getting the truck back for Wednesday and Monday's double holiday collection and will still have the same limited performance capacity we've been experiencing. The limited compaction rate makes it very difficult and time-consuming for the crew. This has unfortunately been an ongoing situation for several weeks, as the only option is to use our conventional single-compartment packer truck. Both trash and recycling is thrown in together. It is a no-win situation for us. There are 2 major reasons why we do this, and people will be more upset, number 1, if we don't pick up the recycling. Simply our phones would ring nonstop. And on the reverse end, we have had very few calls from folks inquiring why trash and recycling is being mixed together. I contest that because I've been getting the phone
They
calls.
just send us
and emails.
Facebook messages, trust me.
Bottom line, people want their trash and their recycling gone. Recycling left out at curbside is open containers most of the time, and windy days, materials would be blown everywhere, causing litter and more complaints. Consequently, we made the decision to remove both trash and recycling. I wish we had a better solution. The only alternative would be to contract out with a private hauler to collect recycling. This averages about $1,000 a day. With the present situation, we are collecting around 2 tons of recycling per day at a cost of $120. We hope we are finally getting the ongoing mechanical issues resolved. So what I'm trying to explain here is explain the frustrations of our taxpayers, constituents, residents. I know it's not just confined to my ward. I know it's all over the city. And I know that there have been people questioning and scratching their head as to why this $300,000 state-of-the-art truck is...
200,000.
It's 300, wasn't it?
No.
Well, we need to get a final cost on that, I guess.
I mean, it might be now.
It may be now, right? But the fact of the matter is, it looks like we have a potential lemon here, in my opinion. And I just want to, there is no blame, and I'm not here to blame anybody. Mark Turner is one of the best people I've ever met. He's a fine public works director. He works very hard, long hours. And his department has taken a lot of hits for a lot of different things, and, due to budget constraints and due to the manpower that he has. Simply talking about the piece of equipment itself. And I applaud Mark Turner for the amount of effort, and he is as frustrated as I am. He's as frustrated as some of the council members here are. And I'm sure he is as equally frustrated as some of the taxpayers are. So I want this to be known that this is not something about our Public Works Department. It has something to do with the actual piece of equipment itself. And I wanted to bear fruit publicly as to what that frustration is and what we're dealing with. So there are 2 things, of course, we are dealing with. And unfortunately, the recyclables and the trash have been hauled to the Norridge Rock landfill together in the context of trying to get rid of it and keep our garages and bays empty on a normal basis. And hopefully we will get back to some kind of normalcy in the near future.
It is warranted, though, isn't he right?
Most of it is warranted, according to what Mark has said, with Loadmaster and everything. So as of now, most of it is warranted. I don't know if the complete cost of it is, but I just wanted to make it apparent. It is my duty to make sure that the frustrations of the residents are heard and there are answers to some of the stuff that we are talking about here. Okay, thank you.
All right. You have a question, sir?
Yeah, I disagree somewhat with what you said.
Okay, well, this isn't a time for debate. This is community notes.
Okay.
And you've had your community note. I'm not going to turn this into a question and answer debate. I'm sorry. It's community notes. Manager's report?
Manager's report. Okay. Basically, just to report on committees that are currently meeting. Today was the committee that the council appointed to look at the question of developing at Head of Falls. That area at Head of Falls that we think is possible for development. So the committee met today and pretty much finalized a proposal that would go out in January. That proposal would request from developers ideas for development at Head of Falls. That whole process, which will start officially in January, could take months. So I'll certainly keep people informed along the way. If you have any questions, I'm going to go on to the parking committee. As I said, this is mostly about our ongoing committees that meet. Most of these committees have 1, 2, or 3 counselors sitting on them. Parking committee meets Thursday at 4 at the police station. And that committee's job is to look at parking in the concourse, Main Street, and continue to try to look at any and all solutions for making parking better. Marijuana committee met yesterday. They're coming up with recommendations for the, oh no, last Monday. They're meeting next Monday. They're meeting next Monday, and the city currently has a moratorium in place till January 18th. I don't think that the committee is going to be done in time to get something to you that you can think about adopting. So I'm pretty sure that we'll come back to you with a request to extend that moratorium for another 3 months. I do need to talk to Bill Lee about the timing of certain things, so that's the way it looks like right now. But they are meeting, they are making headway, and that meeting is next Monday at 5. The city's audit is pretty much done, but probably won't get to a council meeting until the first one in January, the first or second meeting in January. Remember, that's the audit that looks at our finances that ended last June 30. The city's on a July 1 to June 30 fiscal year. So we do an audit every fall, and that report comes to the council and, of course, is available to anybody who wants to see it. That's what I have under manager's report, except for one last thing, and that's the introduction of Aaron. Are there any questions on any of the committees or anything? Oh, the committee that was talked about a few weeks ago, Public Safety Committee, trying to combine that with the capital improvement work. So I think those two functions can be put together under that committee. Lord knows we have enough committees right now. So that's yet a fourth. It's probably a fifth committee, actually. So anyway, that will start meeting soon. Aaron Barrows came to work with us on September 10th. Heather left on August 3rd. She's doing very well in California. Actually, she was here yesterday, checking on Aaron. Just kidding. But as you know, Heather came before you a few times during the year because our charter says the treasurer is required to come quarterly and report on revenues, expenses. So this is Aaron's first go at that. I think you all have a copy of what he is going to talk about. And so we're talking about revenues and expenses for the first 3 months of our year, July, August, September.
So the first sheet you're going to see is revenue. At the very bottom, total revenue is budgeted at $6.4 million, where the first quarter is actually $2 million. And that represents 32.17% of the entire budget that's been collected. Some pieces on revenue I'd like to point out. Under penalties and interest, the bulk of the number is taxes, interest, and penalties. That's 25,000 out of that 42,000. Next item I'd like to highlight is intergovernmental, and that is,
Aaron, I don't know, is that mic on? It is on. Get a little closer to it, I think.
okay,
Yeah, thank you.
is that better?
No.
No.
You asked.
I know. Okay. Intergovernmental, it's comprised of several items, and I'd like to see revenue sharing for the first quarter was 296,000, and homestead rebate was 718,000, and that makes up the bulk of intergovernmental for first quarter. And the last item I'd like to highlight on the revenue is the police, communication center, and animal control. And the bulk of that is dispatch services at half, 49,732 of the 100,000. I'd like to move on to expenses.
So, excuse me, for a sec. With one quarter being completed, that's 25% of our year. So I've asked Aaron to focus on the items that are either way above 25% or way below, just so you know, that keeps us on track.
Okay, expenses. Overall, as Mike mentioned, we're under 25% for the first quarter. We're at 24.28%. And I want to bring your attention to anything over 30% individually. The first is economic development, and we are looking at really wages of 24,000, and growth council is 42,500, which represents membership. So that's the bulk of it. The next item I'd like to bring to your attention is Parks and Recreation. That's at 35.74%. And the bulk of it is payroll, tax, and benefits at 131,000, utility 15,000, and recreation area maintenance 25,000.
Isn't that something, Aaron, that usually gets out of whack because summertime and fourth quarter might
The pool,
eat up a whole bunch?
Yeah,
pool especially, right?
yeah, and there's more people working guards and such.
So it may still be okay, even though we're at 35%.
I think so. I think so. Cemetery is the next one below Parks and Recreation. That's at 32.19%, and it's really payroll of 11,989 and equipment purchase. And the equipment purchase right after the budget was accepted. A lot of pieces get purchased right after, so it skews the first quarter. And the last one is the airport, and the airport's really fuel. Payroll is 47,000, but between a line called motor fuel and aviation fuel, that accounts for $105,000. So
We may buy jet fuel that will last us 5 months, but it's all in one quarter.
yeah, yep.
And if we're buying it, we're selling it, right?
I'm sorry?
So generally speaking, if we're buying fuel, we're selling it for a profit?
Right, exactly. Yep.
And the last piece I'd like to share is the investments.
And investments.
Sure.
I wanted to remind the council that there is a policy that the council adopted about how the city's money can and cannot be invested. So all of the investments of taxpayer funds are government-backed treasury securities. And the only exception to that rule is where you have the two proprietary funds, cemetery and the Haynes Charity, actually the Champlin Those are 3 exceptions. They're listed at the top.
Yep.
Right, and those are all
Yep.
proprietary.
Yep, and below that are just general revenue funds. The money is sitting in very liquid funds if we need to withdraw. There's no penalties on withdrawing any of that money, and it's highly liquid, and it's a safe investment. It's below the FDIC limit, so there's no risk of anything going above that. That concludes.
In general, can we just recognize, I think for those who aren't looking at these sheets and might not understand, most businesses run on accrual basis accounting, which means that their budgets are much more smooth throughout the year. We are required to be on a cash basis accounting method, so there are a lot of fluctuations in revenues as well as expenditures because they happen in kind of big chunks at different times. So just depending on the timing, we can't recognize those things, whether it's money coming in, we can't recognize it till we actually have it in our hands. And an expense, we have to recognize the full expense immediately when we take it, even if it's an expense that lasts us over 6 months. Whereas a normal business would recognize that slowly over the time period. And that's really the basis of these differences. Yeah. Yes.
But now that we have the luxury of a Chase Forum here, when these presentations come in the future, can we have it projected so we can all see it?
That would be a good idea.
That's a
We will-
great
We will
idea.
certainly work on that. Yep, it's a good idea.
You like pie charts, Dan?
Okay,
Next week, I want a big picture of Fred Stubbard up there.
No, we should do something else.
Motion approved.